Welcome to Rachel Talks Technique, the show where we dig into the BalletBeFit method. Rachel Talks Technique brings you learnings, techniques, and experiences from special guests. Our passion is to help you pursue yours. Here's your host, Rachel Withers.
Hi guys, and welcome to BalletBeFit's live stream, and welcome to my series, Rachel Talks Technique. This is episode 4, The Power of Your Voice, where we will dive into various topics surrounding how your voice can improve your success as a BalletBeFit instructor, or in fact, a fitness instructor. I'm Rachel Withers, I'm the founder and I'm the CEO of BalletBeFit, and thank you so much for joining us today. In this series, we dive into all things which are technique, both from my own learnings and experiences, but we also share the experiences of our special guests. So thank you so much for being here today. At BalletBeFit, it is our passion to help you pursue yours. It's our mission to help ladies and gentlemen turn their passion for ballet and fitness into a profitable business. And it's our passion to build a BalletBeFit family who want to add value to people's lives and make a difference and make a contribution. As always, it's really great if you say hello in the chat box and let me know why you've chosen to join us tonight, and tell me what it is you love about ballet, what you love about dance, and what you love about fitness. And have you just started out, or are you looking to add another string to your bow? Please share and like and follow and put some comments in those chat boxes. So let me just see who we've got here tonight. It's great to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, and it's going to be a great episode tonight. It really is. As I say, we're going to be talking about the power of your voice and how this can be so successful and so key in terms of how you deliver your group fitness, your BalletBeFit class. So as I say, please say hello in the chat box. Tell me what it is you love about ballet, what you love about fitness. Do you already run a class yourself, or are you thinking of starting up your own class? As always, I'd appreciate it if you'd also share and like this broadcast. And just let me say hello to the viewers who have just joined us. I'm Rachel Withers, I'm from BalletBeFit, and what's happening right now is we're on BalletBeFit's live stream, Rachel Talks Technique, and it's episode 4, it's the power of your voice. And what I'm doing today is I am going through how your voice can improve your success as a BalletBeFit instructor, or in fact, a group exercise instructor. And today I'll also be talking to Jo, who will chat through her experiences of using her voice when instructing a BalletBeFit class and her experiences as a fitness professional. So please share this live stream and don't forget to say hello in the chat box and tell us why you're joining us today. Right, okay, so we're going to get going now, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to sharing my screen with you and my slides, and we're going to get straight into talking about the power of your voice. So let me just share my screen with you. Just bear with me. I'm just going to add that to the screen. Okay, and I think we've got that there now. If for any reason you can't see my screen, you can't see the slides, please just let me know. Right, okay, we're going to crack on with talking about the power of your voice. You see, the way that you use your voice is so very important. And you really need to think about how the voice and how it can be so powerful. You've got to think that if you had no props and no music at all, you'd still be able to instruct a class, and which your clients would love. And I can honestly recall times when my music just won't play and I've had to teach a whole class without any music, and it really can be done, but you need to know how to use your your voice, and you need to tone up your vocal cords, and you really need to be aware of this so that you can create a completely awesome class. And the tone of your voice and the way that you use your voice is just as important as visual aids or the space that you teach in. Vocal projection really is key. The energy of your voice means everything to a class, and you need to think about the articulation, your vocabulary, and your projection, which will not only help you get your message across properly, and it'll determine how people respond to you. One of the key lessons I've learned over the years is actually to hear myself as I speak, to step outside of myself, and listen to the way that I'm actually saying my message, saying what I want to really instruct and deliver to my clients. And what I also try to do is I also try to make my voice suit the people that I'm teaching. So right now, if you think about it, using the right tone of voice actually has never been as important, because we're having to teach virtually, not just in the studio, and we really need to engage and we need to energize our attendees, our participants, through our voice. So learning how to best use your voice is like learning to play an instrument, but you need to think about finding the right pitch, and this isn't as easy as you might think. One thing which has always stood out for me is that the better the use of voice, the better the verbal communication, the better the energy in the class, the best exercises and the most upbeat music can't completely make up, for a poor class projection, or if you're yelling at the mic. If you mumble or you speak softly, attendees aren't going to really understand what the instruction is and what the technique of the class is. So you need to think about the energy here that you're delivering, and you need not to be talking too quietly, you need not to be mumbling, and you need to talk and repeat what you're saying so that it really does come through with the cues that you're actually giving your class. And getting good at verbal communication really does sometimes take practice. Just as you practice the exercises, just as you practice the choreography, you practice that in your home before you go into the studio or before you go online. Rehearse how you plan to communicate those exercises to your attendees. Practice talking them through. Talk through the cues that you're going to deliver and the techniques. Talk through it in advance. So the more familiar you get with practicing it, the more familiar you're going to know what you're going to be saying in class, and the more you focus on how you're delivering it, the more confident you're going to feel when you're saying your cues, when you're giving that technique, when you're trying to motivate your class. So a really good thing is practice your verbal communication. Walk around the house. You don't have to do it sat down or doing it, as you go through the exercise. Just practice. Just think about the exercises you're going to deliver as you're doing a daily chore, for example, and just be saying those verbal cues. Just be practicing how you're going to deliver the cues and the messages that you want to give to your attendees. And if possible, it's really good to experiment with your voice in the studio or also on your virtual class. Plan in the studio, plan a few practice sessions in an actual studio where you teach, and do that when it's not in use, and you play your music and you use the mic. And then what you can do is you can see, are you projecting enough? You can establish that if you can reach to that person at the back of the class. So imagine projecting your voice to the people, as I say, right at the very back, and experiment as well with speaking softly and then also amplifying your voice to create an impact. But make sure you don't yell, as I say, but think about amplifying, because if you start to yell, you're in danger of losing, well, your leadership power. It doesn't have that same impact. I believe attendees really tend to feel less motivated rather than more if you yell at them. So you really need to think about creating light and shade in your voice as well. So if you're wanting to do a movement that's perhaps slow, just speak a little bit slower, calm your voice down. Then if you want to energize and it's high impact, speak a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, and a little bit higher to really change the light and shade in your voice as you want to change the light and shade in the movement as well. And as I say, it's really important to experiment with your voice in the studio. And another thing to really hear is you need to also protect your vocal cords. And that's why there's another reason not to yell, because it can really strain your vocal cords. And it is clearly a good idea to protect them. And it's a good idea, like we warm up the body, it's a really good idea to warm up your voice before teaching. And if you go on Google or on YouTube, there's some really good exercises out there that are fantastic for just helping you understand how to warm your voice up. As we warm our body up, it's just as important when we're delivering our classes to warm up our vocal cords. So another thing is to drink plenty of water. So make sure you have water at your side in class, but you should have that anyway, because I always want you to have water when you're exercising, but make sure that you have plenty of water. And if you can, use a mic and project your voice with a deep, controlled breathing. And you really want to think about your breathing. And don't forget, to pay attention that your voice might need a break. So when you're teaching, for example, a really high impact class and you're really going for it, you might actually have to, at some point, stop using your voice and just be going through the movements with your class, because quite simply, you actually could become quite breathy, out of breath, and you can't actually deliver those cues. So sometimes it is really good just to think, I need to just sort of use the movement here, instruct beforehand if you're going into a high impact, really high cardio exercise, go through the instruction first and then create it in blocks. So you might have block 1, 2, 3, 4, give them this series, and then go, right, we're going into block 1, block 2, block 3, block 4, so that you can actually do the exercise with them and not actually be cueing them with sounding out of breath. And also another thing is, as I'm saying, protect your vocal cords. If you've got a cold or something like that, just make sure that you think about how you're going to deliver that class, how you're going to demonstrate that class, so that you're not putting yourself at risk of a greater vocal strain and getting hoarseness. So you really need to think about looking after and protecting your voice and warming it up. And as I said about deep, steady breathing for voice projection, I've really kind of touched on that already, that you need to think about, if you're doing that hard exercise, to make sure that you instruct a little bit beforehand in terms of what the movements are going to be for that high impact, and join in with them, so that you really do have not going through like kind of really high struggling with your breath. So really think about how you're going to communicate the cues and the techniques, especially in when you're doing the high cardio level of work. And if you have to drop out of the movement, you can then drop out and the attendees can carry on. And what you can be doing is then you can actually then have the breath and the power to really properly motivate them going through that high intensity, you know, giving them really good positive feedback, shouting well done, rather than carrying on and demonstrating the movements and doing it along with them. So those are things to consider with the high impact and the cardio side in how you actually use the voice. So really what you need to do is not underestimate the power of your voice as a fitness instructor or a group exercise. And if you think about it, really, it is a form of public speaking. And we all know, if you think about how compelling a public speaker can be when they vary that pitch, when they vary that tone. And it's important as a fitness instructor to think about that and to think about speaking loudly and quickly in some parts of the class, and really giving that light and shade, as I say, thinking about softly and slowly drawing other parts. So if you're doing, like I say, a really elongated movement where you're thinking about an extension, you want to think about taking that slowly. Or if a movement is about, you know, a melting into a plie or a bend, you know, use your voice and make it very descriptive so that your participants really understand how the movement should feel, and you can do that through your voice. If it's short, sharp, quick jumps, you talk short, sharp, quick, so that you're really giving that energy and that vibe through with your voice. And you need to think and know that when you're cueing a complex exercise, you need to think how you will speak at the climax of that exciting cardio exercise. So you need to really think about the inflection and the tone, the light and shade, and you need to think about, as I say, soft and slowly, such as in the stretch and the cool down. And I think it's a good idea as well to film yourself taking the class so that you can really see and sense how effectively you are delivering your classes using your voice. I know we don't like to do that, and to be honest, sometimes I don't really want to listen back to these live streams or I'm doing, but it is really good, and it's a really good exercise to do, and it's just going to make you that instructor that's going to stand out, that instructor that makes that difference, that instructor that really is motivating your clients and using your voice. So if you're doing a virtual class, make sure that you're recording it, not just so that you can deliver a replay to your clients. Record it, play it back, see how you delivered it through Zoom, see how you delivered your instructions, see how you used your voice, and do the same in the studio. And if you record it in the studio, also you can provide a replay as well of a studio class at the same time, but you can learn from it and you can really see how you're using your voice and how you're cueing and how you're actually really delivering those exercises. So please really don't underestimate the power of your voice as a fitness instructor. Clear cueing and really audible instruction demonstrates that you're a confident leader who can help your participants really exercise safely and also to the best of their abilities, and that will help them reach their goals quicker, faster, and more effectively and safely. And remember that the variety in your vocal inflection and tone and volume will help keep your classes fresh and participants attentive, engaged, and really energized. So I hope that's helped you in terms of some tips there and strategies in how you can improve your voice in delivering a group exercise class, a BalletBeFit class. But I also hope that it's helped you think about just playing back what you do. So this is all about making you that better instructor. So your classes are so successful, your attendees are motivated, and they're achieving their goals, and they're exercising effectively and efficiently. So what I'm going to do now is I am actually going to stop sharing my screen with you, and I'm just, if you bear with me a second, I'll stop sharing my screen. I think I have done that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to introduce you to Jo. Jo is one of our BalletBeFit instructors, and Jo is going to be sharing her experiences on how she uses her voice in delivering classes and how effective that's been. And she's going to share some tips and techniques, as I say, that she's going to use. So I'm now going to introduce Jo. So just bear with me 1 second. Hi, Yvonne. Just before we do, thank you for joining us. As I say, please put those comments in. Always great to hear from you. So I'm now going to introduce you to Jo, who is one of our amazing BalletBeFit instructors. Okay. Hi, Jo. Hi.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for having me on your live stream. It's very kind of you.
An absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So, Jo, we've just been talking about using vocal inflection and how to energize and how to motivate attendees. Yeah. It really would be great if you could share some tips which you found really helps when you're cueing exercises and keeping your participants engaged.
Yeah, sure. Rachel, I've got 3 main points really that I've learned along the way from teaching, and the main 3 points are to be concise with the wording, consistent, obviously, to make sure people are learning and understanding the cues, and then thirdly, not to overcomplicate instructions, which again you learn through doing the classes yourself and videoing and repeating the classes again, just not to overcomplicate instructions, because like you've already mentioned, you want people to stay engaged and to focus on your class rather than struggling to understand what you're saying. So I with ballet, with this specific fitness class, I think if you've had a background of ballet, it's difficult to adjust sometimes because you're so used to using words like plie, tendu, arabesque, port de bras. And you're naturally going to do that, but actually through learning online with the modules, taking the BalletBeFit instructor course, I adapted exercises and used the terminology you use, which is out, bend, out, stretch, close, during the warm-up, which is really important. And the warm-up is the first exercise
absolutely
in a class, and you don't want the mind to wander. So I really make those verbal cues really basic. So I'm literally mentioning the part of the body that I'm exercising. So starting with head, shoulders, I'll cue feet, because obviously moving down to the feet. And then, like you said, then I've mentioned, just to go out and simplify the exercise to literally out, bend, out, stretch, close, out, bend. And I actually found that does really help. And then later on, I might then start using the word plie, because I think that's quite nice, isn't it? To then introduce the ballet aspect. So I have got people from a varying different backgrounds in the class. I've got people who have done adult ballet and they're just keen to do something different, a fitness class. And I've got people who are fitness instructors themselves, or they have their personal trainers. My class actually coincides with a baby ballet class at the studio, so I get quite a few mums in the class, which is quite nice. But again, they obviously haven't necessarily had a ballet background, so the point is just to really simplify the terminology when you're teaching the BalletBeFit exercises, rather than always using ballet terminology.
Definitely. And I think what's nice to do is, as we say, is to simplify it. And as you've mentioned, you can bring that terminology in when you've got a more established class, because it's a really nice learning curve for them to actually take something away in terms of understanding some of the ballet terminology. But I think in terms of the instructions, to make sure that an attendee, a participant, really understands what the correct form and technique is. If you overcomplicate it, they're not going to understand what they're actually going to get out of the exercise. So it's really nice as well to really explain what is the goal of a particular exercise, what is the objective of that, because obviously the classes need to be aligned with what the goals and the objectives of the participants are. Now, I've found by teaching virtual classes that I actually have to take the classes slightly slower at the moment in terms of how I'm delivering and how I'm actually putting that forward. And I break the exercises down, and then I build them up to create a longer sequence or a longer routine as such. I don't know how you found delivering your virtual classes. Have you had to change how you've used your voice, or how you've done your cueing, how you've done your instruction?
Sure, just exactly what you said. They're just really break it down into smaller sections and simplify and stop and explain if you can, but using really basic terminology: bend, stretch, up, down, point, close, in, out, really simplifying, rather than saying port de bras, you just move arm up or stretch out. Just really concise words. So the 3 points I've got, they're basically concise, consistent, and not to overcomplicate. And that's really what I've learned for both the studio and then obviously the online classes, which we're putting together at the moment. So yes, it's just, and obviously, as you've mentioned, you just cannot rehearse enough.
No.
So practice and listening to yourself, although nobody really likes to do that. I've had some short clips at the moment. I've been putting some short clips on my Instagram feed, and that again, you can learn from what works and what doesn't, can't you? Just by doing short demos online.
Absolutely, you can learn what works, what doesn't work. And it's really interesting when you play back a class, you can see the reactions of your attendees. You can see whether the way you delivered that worked, whether they got what you were trying to get through, whether it is helping them with their posture or with a point and a close, a tondru. And I really like to see that, because sometimes I've delivered something and I thought, oh, I did really well there, and then I look back and I think, did I? So I think we're always constantly learning, and for me, it makes you a more confident, a better leader in your classes if you do plan, if you do prepare and do practice, because that means your attendees are going to get so much from it. And then we all talk about class numbers, we all talk about attracting clients, we all talk about retention. If you really give a well delivered a class with motivation, you're going to get that word of mouth. You're going to get people saying that class is something different. And that's why the use of the voice and how you cue is actually just so important, really.
Absolutely. And then going on to talk about obviously what we've already talked about, which is the tone of your voice and the vocal inflection. I mean, obviously we've all been to fitness classes, and sadly where there hasn't enough of that. So I think that's really important point to make, not to be monotone. So to remain upbeat and not to be monotone, and vary your voice according to the exercise, not only according to the exercise, but I've actually got a lady in one of my classes who's actually hard of hearing. So she did make me aware of that, and because of that, obviously I've adapted.
Right.
I've adapted my music mainly, just slightly, putting a slightly lower volume and perhaps not such an upbeat tempo on the music, or a loud beat on a particular exercise, and me. So just another point to make, really.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, that's really, so you've had to adapt the pitch of the music then, is that what you're saying?
Right, yes. And also my placement as well, where I'm standing, positioning, Once it's obviously in studio.
That's
to make sure they follow. So so that's just another point about tone. But I think that is really, really valid, isn't it, to keep it upbeat and to vary the tone throughout rather than staying monotone.
Absolutely. And as I mentioned about when you're drawing to a close in your class, when you're doing that cool down, you probably want to, well, you do actually, not probably, you want to soften your voice. You want to still keep the energy there, but make it softer so that they're leaving the class feeling refreshed, but not frantic. If you've done a high impact part, a cardio part, if you just finished there and kept it really frantic, and obviously you wouldn't do that because of the body needs a cool down. But if your voice was still at that high energy, they're not going to leave the studio or the online feeling refreshed. They're going to still feel a bit overly buzzing. It's really important to soften, change the pace. We change the pace of our music to adjust accordingly to the exercises that we're doing. And it is exactly the same with the voice. Adjust your voice to the pace of the particular exercise you're doing. And I can see here we've got some comments through Joe. We've got Yvonne saying, so true, Joy. So true, Joe. If I can speak tonight, get my words out. So thank you, Yvonne, for sharing that. And it's good to hear that you're really getting something out of this live stream that we're doing tonight. So thank you for that, and thank you, Donna, for joining us as well tonight. If you've got any questions, please just pop them in the chat box. That would be absolutely fantastic. So, Joe, just tell us about where you're teaching at the moment, so that the viewers, the listeners, know where to find you.
Sure. So I'm teaching in Sleaford, so the dance studio's Go Dance, Sleaford, and like I've mentioned, I teach on a Monday, 2:00, and it coincides with baby ballet, which has just started up again. So it's quite a nice way for mums to get in a fitness class, which I think is such a great business model, and I think dance studios could incorporate it, just to have the two classes running aside. So we have the childcare and the fitness in one. So that's Go Dance Sleaford. At the moment, starting up again on Mondays, but hoping to develop to have more classes and Zoom online classes to follow as well.
Perfect. So has the team put in, can the team put in a link so that anybody who's wanting to join Joe's classes, they know exactly where to go and find Joe? You can go to our website, and if you go to find a class, Joe is listed there, and you can then contact Joe directly that way too. I just had a comment from Joanna Bradley, and she's saying that she is hard of hearing, and she completely agrees with you, Joe, because she sometimes struggles with background music and noise, and she finds it so much easier if she can actually see someone's mouth as well. So thank you for sharing that, Joanna. But it is something to think about, isn't it, if you've got somebody with hard of hearing coming into a class, to think about where you position yourself as well.
That's right. To adapt.
Excellent. So I can see that we've now got your details up on our chat. So you are on a Monday as well at 2 to 2:45 p.m. as well. Is that? That's where we've got. And as you say, it coincides with the amazing Baby Ballet, who I know the founder of Baby Ballet. It's a fantastic concept as well. Great class. And and it really would work fantastic for new mums. Come along to our BalletBeFit class. Leave your children in Baby Ballet. They will learn so much from that class as well. It is a win-win, isn't it? The children are getting something, the adults are getting something. So it's absolutely fantastic. So Jo, it has been absolutely great chatting with you. And as I say, if you've got any more questions for Jo, just pop them in the chat box and we'll make sure that they get answered. And as I say, please check out Jo, sign up for Jo's one of Jo's classes. You can contact her direct, and Facebook, Instagram, and it sounds you're putting some exercises, as you said, on Instagram as well at the moment. So you're doing you're delivering some nice exercises on your Facebook as well. So and Jo, I know, has an absolutely fantastic dance ballet background. And just before you go, Jo, actually just share your experience, because I know you've got incredible experience, and it makes me exceptionally proud to have it's proud to have all my instructors, but Jo has a really good experience. So please just share your background with us.
Oh, that's very kind, Rachel. So I trained for 5 years at the Hammond School, which is the vocational dance school in the Northwest, near Chester. So I trained for 5 years there, and then went on to study at university, where I did art and psychology, but I continued with the performing arts, teaching along, and so I taught performing arts and art and drama for quite a while, and but pursued a fitness career along the way, and have a family of my own now. So that's why BalletBeFit really fitted in nicely into me being able to train as an instructor at the moment and fit in with family life. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's allowed you to sort of come back into the dance world, come back into the fitness world, and work around your family, which was the whole reason I started BalletBeFit in the first place, because I'd left the dance world and then I needed to get back in shape. I'd got all that experience from ballet. The two went hand in hand. That's how BalletBeFit was born. And my whole ethos is it is something that can work completely around family life, and allows you to get something, to deliver something of value, make a contribution to other people's lives, but also get something back yourself at the same time, isn't it? So
exactly, yes, yeah. And I like the concept that it was a fitness class with ballet as well. I like the fact that that's the new concept. So yeah.
So thank you ever so much for joining us, Jo. And like I say, everybody, you can find out the details in our comments box on our website, and also you can check out Jo's Facebook, Instagram. She's all over social media. So I will say thank you, and thank you ever so much, Jo. Okay, take care. All right, thank you. Bye bye. Bye. Okay, so Jo is just an absolutely amazing instructor. So please check out her classes. She's fantastic. She'll be going on Zoom very soon. It's just fitting around her family life. So please join Jo for her BalletBeFit classes. Right, before we wrap up, each month I like to leave you with a practical takeaway that you can implement right now. And we've been talking about how your voice can improve your success as a BalletBeFit instructor, or in fact a fitness instructor, a group exercise instructor. So today's takeaway is, and we've mentioned it, is that I'd like you to practice saying your cues out loud. And so the first time you ever use a cue, it usually can come out a bit awkward, and it can be a bit long-winded. So what I want you to do is I want you to practice saying your cues often, so that you say them quickly and that you say them efficiently. And as I said earlier in this live stream, you can practice this while you're doing other stuff, while you're taking a shower, while you're driving a car, while you're doing the washing. You can practice it at any time. Think about an exercise that you want to do in your next class and go through the cues that you'll use. And if you can, also practice the cues to the music that you're going to use too. And that way you'll get used to and know how much time you have to get through it all, and you'll understand the instruction that you need to deliver and the instruction that you want to deliver. And also another thing is it's really good to start to personalize the cues you use and use a style to really make your group exercise class, your BalletBeFit class, your own, your dance class, your own. So practice your cues, practice them when you're doing other stuff. If you can, practice it with the music you're going to use, practice it with exercises that you plan to do in your next class, and you'll find that you will deliver really efficiently and really effectively. So, right, okay, I am going to wrap up now. So thank you so much for joining me today. It's been I hope a really good live stream. You've learned lots of techniques and tips and strategies, and a big thanks to Jo. Thank you so much. It's been, for me, a really great episode of Rachel Talks Technique. Don't forget to share this, and we'll be putting this series onto our YouTube channel, BalletBeFit, so you can always find this series and you can refer back to it, so you can listen over again and listen to the strategies that we've delivered here tonight. So please follow us on social media. We are so happy that you've tuned in. Please join us again at the same time, 7 p.m. British summertime. It still is, I think, British summertime, on the 22nd of October for episode 5, where I'll actually go into further and be discussing further cueing your BalletBeFit or your group exercise class. So we can further expand on the voice and the other techniques to make your BalletBeFit class or group exercise class a real success. So you'll keep your clients, you'll attract clients, and you'll really motivate your clients. So it is a good night from me and a good night from BalletBeFit. Thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we really do appreciate you. So thank you so very much. Take care. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in to Rachel Talks Technique. Be sure to visit balletbefit.co.uk to join the conversation, access the show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Join us next time for more tips and techniques. Bye for now.